Coming at you from Scratchin Wolf Studio. It's that time again to rage across the internet. Your very favorite Werewolf the Apocalypse podcast. As always, I'm your host, Porter. To my left, the man of 1,000 faces, Mr. Daniel Tyson.
Hey, everybody.
Across from me at the table, the man with 1,000 haircuts, Mr. Tommy Dixon.
How's it going?
How we doing, gentlemen?
Doing great.
It's recording day?
Should have switched those.
Yeah, I was about to say you should have. That would have been better.
It's just what was in my heart.
It's fine.
So, hey, I don't know if you guys knew.
I might.
Well, I don't know that you do.
Okay.
But we got a little treat today.
Oh, yes, we do. Then I do know.
No, I just said you didn't know.
Okay, fine.
Play ball, goddammit.
Got it.
Are they brownies?
No.
Oh.
It's better.
Then yes.
Oh, better than brownies.
Better than brownies. We have the man himself once again gracing our presence, MrGone. Chris, how are you doing?
I'm good. How are y'all today?
Doing great.
Doing great.
Great to have you back.
Yes, MrGone is here after a year. We're so happy that you're back.
I'm less happy that Danny rhymed, but I stick with the sentiment.
It wasn't on purpose.
Well, I appreciate y'all having me back.
Oh, it is. It's great to have you. It's been far too long. We were talking about it's been what? It's
Last February,
right?
that episode aired. So it was probably, in January when it was recorded, if not before that.
Right.
Oh, man, it was a long time ago.
And then, and Chris, that was just you and I at the time. So now you've got to deal with Danny and Tom, and I apologize in advance.
I was going to say the same thing. Yep, I'm
I'll
sorry.
stay quiet if it's going to be that bad.
It's okay. It'll be fun.
Oh, absolutely. It always is, and it's even more fun now that you're here. Thanks, Chris.
Well, thanks.
And now, for those of you who don't know, and if you don't, shame on you.
I was going to say, what do you mean they don't know? How dare you?
Our friend Chris here, also known as MrGone, has been a staple in the community for years, creating custom character sheets, and again, top of the line character sheets.
Yeah, we don't use anything else.
Yeah.
It's true. Why?
That's awesome. I like that.
I mean, it's the Rolls Royce of character sheets, bottom line.
Thanks.
And you have for, God, is it fair to say decades?
I started doing it in like hardcore, like where people were like really asking me and requesting stuff, starting in like 2003.
Good God.
So there you go. Almost, almost to that. There's an anniversary we got to celebrate at that point.
Next
Yeah,
year?
it's coming up.
Next year's the 20th anniversary.
We're going to have to celebrate.
That's a big deal. That's a really big deal.
I gotta think about what I want to do.
Well, congratulations is in order at the very least.
Yeah, we're going to do a preemptive. We're going to be the first people to congratulate you.
Thanks.
Maybe another episode, too.
I could see that happening.
Hey, maybe that'd be cool.
Yeah, I mean, obviously your sheets, they are. They're absolutely top of the line. And again, for those of you who don't know, he's been doing this for a long time and making these available to everybody. I would go so far as to say the kindness of your heart.
Yeah.
I'll go so far.
I just like helping everybody, so.
Like I said, it's a big deal. And as part of the community, on behalf of everyone, thank you.
Well, you're very welcome. I'm glad I can help.
And again, for those who don't know, one, shame on you. But, go look those up. Those are so much better than anything else out there.
I mean, those gift sheets alone, I think, are lifesavers.
Oh, man. Agreed.
Well, I'm glad everybody likes them. There are people that are still, just discovering them now, which I like that.
There's a lot of people still just discovering the games. I mean...
No, it's true. In fact, our editor, Ace, only learned about werewolf because of Earthblood.
Oh.
That's a bummer. Sorry, Ace.
Right, but at the same time, I guess we owe Earthblood a little bit of a thanks there.
There you go.
But there you go. That's new players coming in and to discover,
yeah,
not only the games, which we'll get back to that in a second, but these beautiful sheets.
If you don't mind me sidetracking for just a second, I got a crazy story about the way somebody figured out my website and how they could get the character sheets from my site for free.
Not only do I want to hear that, but how about you plug that website real quick?
Oh, my website? Yeah. It's a MrGone.RockSolidShells.com.
.com.
So, and the Rock Solid Shells is, I've got a friend who's hosted my website forever, and that's his domain. So he hosts my character sheets for free, basically. He's been hosting them forever.
Excellent. And
Yeah.
thanks to him.
Yeah.
Thank you. But please, go on. I want to hear the story.
But yeah, so there's somebody that recently discovered my website after they bought on Amazon a character sheet pack of Vampire 5th Edition character sheets that were my character sheets. Somebody is selling them on Amazon.
That
Yeah, it's crazy. Like they downloaded my 5th edition character sheet. They're printing them out and binding them somehow and then shipping them to people.
I remember. I didn't realize that's how that. I remember when that happened. We actually both helped send the word out about that over on Facebook.
Okay, so
Cool.
That's what we were.
That's what.
Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah.
Wow.
It was somebody in one of the groups posted, and then a guy that I know sort of tagged me into it because he was asking a bunch of questions about it. He tagged me into this conversation, and I started looking at it, and I was like, "Yeah, that's my character sheet." And so I started looking into like getting it taken down. Amazon won't do anything. The World of Darkness team got involved, but I don't know like what they've been able to do about it yet. But yeah, so there's been people that have left some like 1-star reviews to get the word out, but as far as I know, they're still up.
Well, then that's
Man.
Yeah,
If that's still ongoing, then everybody heads up out there. Do not buy character sheets off Amazon.
Yeah, it's crazy. So there was 2 different people that had not found my website somehow, but had run across this listing on Amazon, who have now discovered my website and were like, "Oh God, like I could get all this for free. There's like a ton of it." So yeah, it's pretty crazy.
And hopefully, those people have decided to back you because you're running a Patreon too, isn't that correct?
Yes, I do have a Patreon.
Which makes all the more sense. Like, how could someone do this?
I know, it's so crazy to me.
It's frustrating, and I'm sorry you have to go through that.
But
it's all right.
I'm glad that we're able to help get the word out.
Yes, big time.
Put the stop to creeps like that.
Yeah. If you want me to plug it too, the Patreon is patreon.com/MrGone.
There we go.
You heard it. And we'll make sure to put those in the show notes too.
Yes, I will.
Okay, cool. But yeah, so anyway, it just reminded me like new people finding my website through weird ways.
Well, I'm glad he went to the original source then and not got ripped off by some creep on the internet.
Right.
Beware of the creeps.
Yeah, it's so bizarre. But yeah, the seller on Amazon sells 2 things. My Vampire 5th Edition character sheet and a notebook with the Fight Club logo on it.
Topical.
Wow.
It's so weird. Yeah.
Odd choices.
Right?
But yeah, so I don't know.
People do
Like I
anything
said,
for
I
it.
reported it to Amazon, but they didn't really seem like they were going to do anything. So
Yeah. Thanks, Bezos.
yeah,
Anything to make a quick buck, huh? Selfish
I guess.
bastards.
Got to look for the Blood Boy.
Yeah, I guess.
But this is a little bit what we're here to talk about today.
A little bit.
Is is just role playing in general.
Yeah.
I thought it'd be a good time, and it's just a little something different than our normal thing.
maybe y'all talked about it before, but you can tell me how you got into gaming.
You know what? We haven't touched down on that in a long time. That's a good idea.
We can do
So
that.
Yeah, I mean, you too, though, because you're here as well.
okay, sure, I will. I'll tell the story. I mean, I don't know how good a story it is, but I'll tell it for you.
We'll make it. We'll make it work.
I mean, yeah, it was back in our early...
I got a role playing before you told me about it, Danny.
This is true, and I wasn't in it at all. We're looking at episode 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah, this is the early shit we don't like people to listen to.
Yeah, I was gonna say skip those first 5 people, but no, it was for me. It was all Porter. Porter and I have been friends for over 20 years now,
And you guys are old.
I know it.
Wow.
Yeah, thanks for reminding me.
I'm gonna keel over any second now.
Yeah, any second. But Porter and I have been friends for a long time. We have a lot of similar interests, and I trust him more than I would say probably anybody in the world. So when he says, hey, I think you'll like this thing, I trust him. I believe him. And role-playing was never my thing. I never really got into it. But I think it was the Shadowlord glyph that I first saw. I was like, that's really cool. So you showed me a few other ones, and you're like, you know what? I think it's time that you and I talked about this specifically.
Well, and to I guess to add to your story here, the other side of that is I had an idea for a chronicle because I moved back to Michigan, and I thought, well, Werewolf's over. It's they're on the bookshelf. It looks nice, and then
At least they look nice.
one day I had this idea for a story, about a group of new cubs at a forward sept, not a cairn. To be in a place where there's action going on and no one has time or the inclination to train them. They're not equipped to be trained, and they're just thrown in the shit. With this group of Garu who don't know each other or like each other necessarily. So it's just like the worst case scenario of how you get your introduction to the nation.
Thanks.
Right? Well, think about that. It'd be like starting a new job, right? Except no one's training you
Oh, God.
because, it's Black Friday. That's your first
Right.
day.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, so, that was the idea. It was kind of like that. And so because I had that idea rolling in my head, I'm like, maybe. Let me pitch this to Danny.
Yeah. And I said, and I trust you. So if you think that I'll be interested in a certain thing, I tend to believe you. I think you've been right 99% of the time.
I tend to have a good track record. I pick, I don't just, carpet bomb. I pick stuff.
Yeah. So, and then this is the first and only ever kind of role-playing I've ever gotten into. So, and it's been how long already? 3, 4, 5
Keep
years?
going.
5 years now?
Keep going.
Has it been more than that?
Yeah.
Jesus.
I don't even know how long. I don't remember when I got here.
Yeah, because you moved back to Michigan.
It's probably been about 7.
Jesus Christ.
That's kind of awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it makes sense when you moved back because it wasn't long after you moved back to Michigan.
No, it wasn't.
7 or at least 8.
And again, we've been friends for over 20 years.
And there's a certain point, the time just all bleeds together.
Kind of.
Yeah.
I mean, you were traveling the country for how long in the middle of those 20 years?
Yeah.
And we still continue to be friends, so yeah, that kind of makes sense why I would trust you. But
I've seen a thing.
So about you, Tom?
Well, and then obviously you pitched that to Danny. And Danny comes to me. I just started working with Danny. It was within a month and he pitched it to me.
you and I became friends real soon after you started working.
Right. And then, within a month of working there, you pitched that to me. And I was like, you know what? And I came from more of a tabletop experience. I was doing a lot of Warhammer. I did a lot of D&D. And also Warhammer has a D&D type tabletop on top of their figurines and everything with that whole lore. So I was doing all that prior. And that started fading away. And by the time I met Danny, he had brought this up to me. I'm like, new role-playing game, but much more serious. I can get on board with this.
Yeah, you were telling me about the Warhammer stuff. I'm like, yeah, you were doing the tabletop stuff. And I was like, I've never heard any of this until last week when my buddy Porter was telling me, would you be interested in this? Mm-hmm. And look how that started.
Right. And then I get to Danny's one day and there's this fucking stranger there in his kitchen. And I'm like, what?
And I'm already giving him the vibes of this is not a good role player.
Right. I'm like, oh, this is going to be a problem player.
The few times I played D&D, I was the problem player. But it's because these guys were just doing book games. There wasn't a lot of lore involved. It was just roll the die and see what happens. So I was just kind of being the jackassery Ragabash that I like to be in D&D. And I caused our group a lot of problems.
But with that style game, that I guess makes more sense. I mean, especially if you're not, there's no lore behind it kind of thing.
It was just book stories. It wasn't like what Porter does.
So you weren't challenged.
No.
And that's a bigger deal.
So I made it challenging.
There you go.
Gon, how about you?
Oh, that's cool. For me, I grew up in a little town in the middle of Texas near Waco. And there wasn't, like, I don't even know if I knew what a role-playing game was. But when I was in high school, I was super into vampires. Like, I don't know, kind of a little bit of a goth kid, I guess. So I was super into vampires. And I ran across this book at the mall called Vampire the Masquerade. And they had like a few of them, but they had like the core book. And I was looking at it and it's like, what is this? And it was like, I started to read it and it was like, is this a game? You know, what kind of game is this? So I bought the book and read it. And then it was like, well, there's no one around me that even has any idea what any of this is. So it was like, it was just for me. I didn't play. I just read a couple of the books. And then when I went to college, I made friends with a guy. And one day he lived on campus. And one day we were hanging out. He was like, hey, you want to come over and hang out? Sure. We went over and I passed his bookshelf and he had like a bunch of vampire books. And I was like, whoa, like, hey, you know what this is? Oh, yeah. You know, him and his friends before he came to college, like, played all the time. And he was like, you want to check it out? I was like, yeah, hell yeah. So we started. And then, you know, like, we slowly put together a little group and we gamed, like, the whole time I was in college. And then when I got out of college, some of those people that gamed with us, we stayed together. And we ran just a bunch of games until we moved here to Indiana, my wife and I and our son. And then we met some people here who gamed and we like then kind of built out like another little group. But that's how I got into it, was just like sort of randomly. I liked vampires and I ran across this book.
And a small world that just happens across somebody's bookshelf and, oh, hey,
right,
look,
yeah,
more
I just
vampire
happened
books.
Yeah.
And you've been doing it ever since.
Yeah, I've been doing it ever since. I mean, I haven't gamed in a long time because the group here, sort of everybody in between like layoffs here and people moving and taking other jobs and everything, like our group is like dispersed. So I haven't gamed in quite a while, but of course I still try to keep up and I do character sheets all the time. So it's like I've got a toe in it still, even though I'm not gaming currently.
Well, you know, there's I mean, I know I got to tell mine too, but I got to say, you know, these days there's a lot of games going on online.
Right.
I mean, you could easily jump in. In fact, I know you haven't done much werewolf in your days, but I know in our Discord, one of our guys, CJ, is putting in a Wild West game together.
Oh, that's cool.
I'm sure if that was something you'd like to get back in the habit or give that a try, I am certain you could get a place at that virtual table.
All right, cool. Yeah, I'll think about it. Like I said, a lot of my time right now is like it's sort of snowballed into, like, I don't want to say, it's not like I don't have any free time, but a lot of my free time is character sheet work or, you know, watching a movie or trying to like play. I've been getting back into video games. I sort of fell out of playing video games for a long time just because my time was all taken up with character sheet work. So I've been trying to make time to play video games too.
Yeah,
nothing wrong with that.
I think we all know what that's like. Time is at a premium.
It's not just werewolf.
Just to say,
on the Discord too, though.
I've been playing this game. I've just been super obsessed with it. I've played through it probably like 3 times now, even though it's like a long game. But I've been playing the game on the PlayStation called Death Stranding.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Super into it.
Oh, it's Kojima.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
What?
Super into it. Like way more than I thought I would be.
Gotta love those games.
Yeah.
That's not a game when it just grabs you and hooks you and doesn't let go and makes you play several times over.
Yeah.
Definitely good stuff.
Skyrim for me. I've got probably thousands and thousands of hours in that one. Jesus.
Never done a pretty ridiculous Dead by Daylight kick, although a lot of our listeners are very aware of that.
Even our gaming team is well aware.
Yeah, our gaming team is well aware of that.
Yeah, oops.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for facilitating my habit.
Yeah, but like I was saying, not only Werewolf is on our Discord, we also have a Forsaken game going and a V5 game.
That's true.
Oh, cool.
Yeah,
how are y'all liking V5?
Oh, I have no idea.
No,
we're not involved in them. I've been actually keeping up with it a little bit, just because it's more of a text-based one they're doing. and it's
Gotcha.
very interesting. I'm enjoying it.
Yeah, we have our storytellers. There's a handful of games that run out of our Discord.
Mm-hmm.
That's cool.
And
Nice.
I happen to know that CJ's starting up a Wild West one. So if you're interested, there is the ground floor on that. And
Right,
CJ,
cool.
he's a good guy. He's a good storyteller.
Oh yes, he is. Awesome DVD player too.
We wouldn't steer you wrong.
Okay. Oh, I should say too, I think it's amusing looking back on it. So when I first got into it, my friend from college who introduced me to Vampire, he started off running the games, but it wasn't too long before my OCD kicked in and I was the storyteller for almost everything we did after that.
Your OCD takes over so much that like I can't let him tell the story anymore. It
I
has
have
to be
yes,
mine.
Yes, I need to be the storyteller. Well, I think, it was his idea. I didn't really consider it, but what was happening is I kept over the course, and we gamed for a long time, so it was over the course of the story, I kept wanting to change characters, and I would come up with ways for him to kill off my current character and kind of bring in the new one.
I want to
So
die
he
this
was
way.
Do it like
Yeah.
this.
So he was like, "Why don't you just take over?" And I was like, "Oh, I don't know about that. I don't think I can do that." And he's like, "You're basically doing it."
No, I don't know if I can while you're setting the screen in front of you. Like, you just pull it away from him. You're scooping the dice over. I couldn't possibly. I don't know how.
which is so funny to think about because in the last few episodes, how we talked about it, like, oh wait, I don't want to change characters, and there's still a possibility I'm going to need to do it anyway, and all the different ways he might have died, and here's Chris going, you know what? This character needs to die so I can start a new one.
That's right. I don't know how many times I did that. Quite a few.
That's great.
Oh, complete opposite. It's awesome.
Yep.
Now, for me with role playing, obviously you're aware of Dungeons and Dragons because you live in the world.
Mm-hmm.
But I was, maybe 13, 14 or so. Werewolf 2, 2nd edition had just recently dropped. And I get a call from a friend, like he's going to come over and spend the night, in junior high here. He's like, yeah, I got this brand new werewolf game, and I've always loved werewolves. So I'm like, sweet. Do I fire up the SNES or the Genesis, or what are we doing here?
Sega Genesis. Jesus.
And, he eventually, he gets dropped off because teenagers, so, your mom's got to drop you off. And he shows up and he puts his book in my lap and I make fun of him for half an hour. I'm like, what is this
like a
nerd
book.
shit? Yeah.
His second edition core book?
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Never like, what is this nerd shit? What are you going to be a virgin professionally? What the hell is this? And I for a half hour I'm making fun of him because there's, that stigma especially back then.
Right.
And he's just like, shut up and look at the book. So I opened the book to the comic. It was always a comic guy. So, okay, I'll read the comic. And that was it.
Comic grabbed you right away.
Oh, yeah. I loved it. And, that night I made my first character with zero help from him. He played Secret Amana. Thanks. And he's like, I'm going to use your SNES and not help while you read this book and make a character.
I want a video game over here. You just go have fun in a book.
Yeah, right? This is why you came over. This was a trick. You're making me read a book while you play my video.
Yes, you can play games.
Right.
But no, I made that character, and that was it. I think we did a handful of stories under him. I think 5 or 6, and then I took over as storyteller, which was not something he was happy about, but he was kind of insufferable, so he went away, and we just continued on our own.
But he was insufferable.
Oh, it was bad. I remember the first time I went to Storytell. And, I don't have a great grasp on the game at this point.
Not yet, sure.
Right, I don't own the core book. I've since bought some source books, but I don't own the core.
Mm-hmm.
And you're a kid, so you don't have, endless money. It's like, I can't afford this core book. There's a core book in the group. I can buy cairns, though. And I remember doing that first story, and he just was pissed that he wasn't the storyteller already.
Oh, no.
Oh.
So, he just tried to waylay the game, It's like, hey, the phone rings. I'm not answering the phone. I'm reading the paper. All right. Phone rings again. Yeah, I'm going to unplug it. I don't like to be disturbed reading the paper.
And this was in character he was doing this shit?
Yeah.
Who sounds like me in my D&D days.
Oh, my
Right?
God.
Like a story told for 53 seconds
I was
and
gonna
you're
say that.
already
This is less than 2 minutes in.
Yeah.
right. But yeah, that was my beginnings, and I mean, here we are.
Wow.
Think about that. Yeah, and again, if Chris has got to make a new character every few stories here, and
Yep.
He wants to try it all. I understand.
I was just gonna say, it just seemed like for a little bit, it was like every couple of weeks, it was like, hey, I got an idea for a new character. We gotta kill off the one I'm playing so I can play this new. And it's like, it was what? Yeah, here's how you can do it.
Well, yeah, and I think that's something we're touching down on. Because whether we're talking about, werewolf or Draculas or mummies or D&D or Pathfinder or whatever.
yeah,
Warhammer, all of it.
Yeah. The excitement and the wonder of creating a new character to explore different facets of the worlds that are brought before us.
I was gonna say the different
Yeah.
areas you can explore with different characters that you couldn't do with a previous one.
Right?
Yep.
That it's such fertile ground for the imagination and the escapism to be able to just pick something out here and then make something totally different, even in the same universe.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
It's a
13
big deal.
tribes, all different backgrounds. You can make so many different characters.
Do a
I mean,
lot of different stuff.
And
Right.
that's just werewolf. And you go to vampire. I mean, I don't know much about vampire, but I'm sure that you can make tons of different characters
Yeah,
there.
yeah, they got a flobbity Jody
Tons.
I mean,
You-
D&D, there's a plethora of things you can do. I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, that's why I'm shocked Danny doesn't want to make a new one yet.
It's that he's
I-
too attached to his
Yeah,
original.
I'm very
He
attached.
doesn't need to die. He just goes off somewhere and you make a new character.
I'm so attached.
See, and I was going to say that too. There's people that get like real attached to characters and play them a lot. Like, I knew some people who played their characters for years. And then it was like, here I was, every couple of weeks, we got to do something different now.
I've hit that bone finally. I'm ready to make a new character. I've gotten tired of mine.
I've come up with ideas in my head for other characters, but that's all they are is ideas. And I can think
Yeah.
of where they would go and what they've been through, but
Yep.
I never get too much into it because I'm so attached to Jaeger.
But that's the thing, it doesn't...
You're right. I don't.
Jaeger
have
doesn't need to go away.
Right, like I'm not going to rip up that sheet, that beautiful MrGone sheet on the cardstock.
No, because even if that character dies, that is going and getting framed.
Let
Nice.
Porter make a copy first, though. That's his sheet.
Fair, yeah. Becomes an NPC, whatever the case is.
So
See, and I've done that before too. I've saved characters and then used them later. So it's like, as a storyteller, there were a couple of times where I took a character I played that they did not kill off, and then, or even if they did, I still had the character sheet. So it's like, yeah, this is like an alternate universe. So they're here doing something, and it's like they might run across them, and they're just like little side background characters, or whatever. But
Oh, absolutely.
yeah,
Porter does that too.
yeah, I've been known to do that. If a particular player, character is retired or moved on or whatever, if something there, I'll adopt that, make it an NPC, tweak it as necessary. It's still in the world. It's more color. It's more life.
Oh yeah, tweak it as necessary is kind of an understatement.
Sometimes,
Yeah, because
You got to make it fit in the current story. So, I mean, you have to tweak it.
Yeah, I'm just saying he won't take that character and just rip it off.
Oh, right.
No,
No,
that's
you got to
not.
make it your own.
What am I, an Amazon seller?
Ooh.
Hey-o. Nicely done.
Hey,
Good
you.
burn.
Hey, you.
nice.
That was
Wow.
funny. I mean, shame on that asshole, but it was funny.
It's crazy. I still can't believe it.
Oh, ugh.
But, I think it's great. And I can speak to role-playing in general.
Yeah.
How helpful it can be. I mean, we hear stories every now and then, and some of us, and I know you guys haven't, because,
Mhm.
well, we just heard your stories. No,
Right.
So many of us got into werewolf through junior high or high school or whatever. And, those times when you feel, being a teenager sucks.
Yes.
Yes, it does.
At times of confusion or, people help discover themselves through role-playing or, I know for me coming up, I had a lot of anger and it was a great outlet for me, to channel that into the game instead of other
Yeah,
avenues. of
lashing
life.
out.
Yeah,
Instead of somebody's face.
right.
Yep.
Are you a bully?
A little bit.
Oh,
A little bit, yeah.
okay. I was just trying to be funny, but
No, a little bit.
hell, this helped. Okay.
Wow. Yeah.
You know,
Well, he got you out of it.
Yeah. You know, it's like, hey, it's given, you give it back to other people. And then,
Mm-hmm.
and I think, with like a lot of people like that, it's like you learn through life, hey, don't do that.
Mm-hmm.
Whether someone stands up to you and someone bigger comes along, or you find a better outlet or whatever.
Yeah, all the
You
above.
learn, don't be an asshole. Don't do that. But, for me, that was a great way to help process a lot of that anger that I had. And I know I'm not alone in that. And so I think it's great that, role playing can be such a tool to help people through difficulties in life, through that escapism.
Absolutely. I mean, I kind of wish I had this back in those shitty years of life, because it kind of just like became pent up, and I didn't have the outlet.
Right.
And luckily, I do now, and unfortunately, sometimes it's kind of too late. But hey,
Yep. And see, and I got my son into gaming, although he does not do World of Darkness. He does D&D.
you gotta start them somewhere. That's
Yeah,
fine.
exactly. No one's perfect. It's
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. I mean, I started them with because they wanted to play D. They were younger. God, I can't remember how old they were when they started. Like maybe 12 or 13 or something. But they were all younger, and they were kind of interested in D&D. But I think it seemed a little complicated for them. So we started with Dungeon Slayers.
I've heard of it.
Which is like this free sort of throwback. It's like like you use one dice and yeah. So they started with that, and then they eventually moved to D&D.
I mean, you gotta start them somewhere. Fine.
Yeah.
And if they're into it, great.
And it was funny too. Like I guess like father like son or whatever. But like I started running the game, but then eventually he wanted to, so he took over running. But I couldn't play because he wanted to tell me all of his ideas for the games, for the stories.
See, but that's good. You always need somebody to talk to your, make sure your stories make sense.
Yeah,
that's
someone to bounce
actually really good.
That's kind of awesome.
And then, what better? Who better?
And then the one who taught you.
Right, than the one who taught you. Then, and let's forget MrGone.
Oh, even more so.
Like, that's
Yeah.
that's kind of a big deal.
That kid can go on, oh yeah? Well, my dad's MrGone.
Right? Like it's one thing to go, hey, Dad, can you teach me how to play basketball? It's another thing when your dad is Michael Jordan.
Right.
It's like, listen up, he knows how to do this.
So, but yes, I thought that was fun. I mean, it's they do their own thing now. I'm not involved anymore, but at the time it was really cool.
Well, you're still involved if you're giving him like lessons and ideas, and he can bring his ideas to you.
He still does talk to me about it sometimes.
That's
But
awesome.
it sounds like you've been kind of full on usurped here, Suddenly it's, no, Dad, I couldn't possibly, as he takes the screen from you.
Yep, exactly.
His OCD kicked in.
Yep.
That's awesome.
And that's cool too, is the generational aspect of it. Because here we are, allegedly we have all gotten older and more mature.
Allegedly.
And,
Allegedly.
It's
so
getting
many
cold
of
in
us,
here.
right? So many of us have started families. So many of you guys have started families. And to be able to pass that down, I think is fantastic. And I mean, that's, even for the makers, the people making these games, and, if any of them are listening, just really listen closely to this, is that these old fans are now getting their kids into it. And that's the new market.
Yeah.
Suddenly we got this whole new generation of kids who are learning about this stuff from their parents, where when we were kids,
Yeah, you didn't have that.
right, it was like you're playing, you can't hold a football? What are you playing this shit for? Go, here's a football.
Yeah, go outside.
Right.
Yep.
And today we're like, yeah, here's a storyteller screen.
Yep.
Here's some character sheets fresh out of the printer from MrGone's website.
Yep. So, all right, here's something funny too. Speaking of character sheets, when my son, his name is Daniel too.
It's a good name.
When he finally took over, he was running his own games. he would come up with he would want to use like the system for dungeon slayers, but he'd want to use it for something different. Like he was constantly coming up, I want to do, like different worlds or whatever. And he would always ask me to help him. Like he would ask me to quote unquote help him, but what he really meant is he wanted me to make him his character sheet.
Yeah, see, there you go.
That sounds about right.
Wait, is his name Daniel Christopher?
No.
Damn. I was hoping.
So see, I was going to ask if it was Daniel to TWO or TO.
Yeah. No, I was saying, yeah, because there's a Daniel. Yeah, because y'all have a Daniel, I have a Daniel.
It just, everybody's Chris. So I was really hoping it was Daniel Christopher.
Oh, and obviously you were part of that tradition. I don't know if you know, but our first 3 special guests all happen to have been named Chris.
Oh, wow.
Which has started the
running joke of everybody is named Chris.
Everyone's Chris.
Yep.
Yeah, it seems to be a popular name.
And it's, I don't want to say trickle, because it's not even a trickle. It's just a full-blown, like, joke. And not even a joke anymore. It's a
thing around here.
It's to the thing where even people who aren't Chris become Chris because they're that close of friends.
Yeah.
TC and CJ.
Exactly. There's a reason C is in both those names.
Yep.
Unfortunately, Christopher really doesn't go with Melissa very well.
Christina.
So.
Yeah.
Or just
and see,
Chris.
I'm actually a Christopher, but I just go by Chris, so.
Well, of course. Yeah. So those who are already Chris just kind of get grandfathered into this.
Right.
That's why I was hoping it was Daniel Christopher. That's all.
Yep. It's Daniel Joseph, and now it's Daniel Joseph because Melanie, my wife, wanted him to have my middle name.
That's hilarious.
Because my middle name is Joseph.
My brother's name is Joseph.
Yeah.
Is it?
Yes, it is.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, so there's a lot of Chris's out there.
There absolutely is.
Every single person, apparently.
Yep.
Yep. Everyone's named Chris.
Yep.
So shout out to all you Chris's out there.
Everyone named Chris. And email in and say hi.
Don't. That's going to be a lot.
Too much. That's going to be a lot of emails.
That's too many emails. No one's going to do that anyway.
No, probably not.
Anyway. So, yeah, we talked earlier that you don't, you've got a deep love of vampire.
Yep.
You have not played much werewolf.
No, obviously I knew there was a game called Werewolf. Like, I had some of the books. You know what I mean? Like, oh my God, this reminds me. In college, I don't want to say not long, but I took over storytelling, and the group would grow. Like, we had, there was, maybe 6 or 7 of us that were, kind of, core people in the group. But every now and then, people would invite people over, and, maybe some of those people would invite people over. So there was, maybe 2 sessions in a row at a house on campus in college that I had to run for, 20 people.
Oh, my God.
At one time?
That's insane.
At one time.
Jesus.
There's 20 people in a room.
How did you crowd control?
I don't even know. I don't even know how I did it. Maybe eventually I started kind of separating out because groups, split as part of the story or whatever. And I think I did that. So it was I would kind of go back and forth between groups. But I do remember a time where there was 20 people all in the same room.
I just run.
Well, now I have a question because this is not allowed at our table, but this is college for you. Was alcohol allowed?
Well, I don't know.
Because that's where it could get out of hand quickly.
Yeah, I can see that.
With 20 people all drinking? Oh, boy.
Right.
Well,
it wasn't disallowed, but I don't think anybody really did. If they did, it was just a couple of people.
That's good.
Just keeping the crowd control down, because I could see some people getting drunk and starting to get a little loud and crazy.
Yeah, that could get untenable real quick.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I will say, just to sidetrack my story for a sec, but the core group of us, so when it was 6 or 7, maybe 8 of us at one point,
which is
there
still
was a
crazy amount.
time where when we were in the back, one of the side rooms again, it's just like a duplex on campus. So we were just holed up in like one of the bedrooms. But you can't see me doing air quotes, but it's winter in Texas, so it's cold out, but like not as cold as like I deal with here. But anyway, we're all in this little bedroom, like 7 or 8 of us, and we all smoked cigarettes at that time. And so it was like, it got to the point where like halfway into we're halfway into our session. I mean, like you can barely see across the room.
It's like walking into a bar back then.
Yeah. No, I was gonna say I had when I was living in Virginia, I was running that group, and that was 4 people, 3 people. I mean, it fluctuated, but and then I had a friend who had flown in to visit specifically to play. I mean, we did a double header.
I remember you telling me, yeah.
Yeah, and so she was in town for just a long weekend, and we played in the basement there because you could smoke we smoked in the basement, and by the end of that weekend, it looked like a pool hall in the '80s. Like I totally know what that's like.
Jesus.
And then it was in the basement, so you start
turned
going
the
down
fog
the stairs. Yeah, you start going down the stairs, and all of the sudden it's Dickensian London.
Who turned on the fog machine?
God.
Well, and thinking back on these games too, how it just really sparked my brain. I haven't thought about it for a while, but those games in college, we would start at, again, it's my friend's house. He was in a duplex on campus. We would start at like 7 o'clock on a Friday night, and we would probably game until like 7 o'clock in the morning.
Oh, I miss those days too.
Yeah. And then we'd all sleep there, and then we'd get up, like super late afternoon Saturday, and then we'd start again, like 7 o'clock Saturday night and go until, like 7 in the morning Sunday.
Teenage years.
So we do like 2 days.
Yeah, after high school, we had something like that because I worked nights, or not overnight, but, closing shift in retail over the weekend. And then we had one of the group worked at a video store, so he's working until midnight. So he'd get off work, and that's when we would start game.
Midnight, yeah.
Yeah. So it's, game's over. Do you want to get lunch? You want to go to bed?
Right. Oh, God. Again, we gamed one day until like, it was my parents needed me to help somebody that they knew move. And I enlisted all of my friends in it, but we gamed that night. So basically we gamed all night until like, 8 in the morning. And then we went over and helped somebody move.
Oh.
I don't know how we did that.
That young energy.
Yep.
That's how you did
I
it.
was going to say, only because you're that young.
You're just young and invincible.
Yeah. All right. So anyway, in the giant group, we had a mixed group, and some of them played werewolves. I think we had like a couple of werewolves, we had a couple of mages, and then everybody else was vampire.
So all the same game, or this is when it was mixing up?
No, it was all in the same story. But I don't even remember what the story was now. Because like,
I'm going to say, how do you write around all that? That's a lot of mixture of games and
Yeah,
mechanics.
no.
That would be very tricky.
We just meandered. I mean, I mostly tried to. Well, I mean, and that's a lot of the games. What we would do too is like I didn't have the guy I started gaming with. We never did a lot of set stories. It was a lot of just like night of. So it was like he'd just be like, you wake up. What do you want to do?
Well, if you have that many people, I can only understand why you would do it that way.
That'd be hard to write something around that many people.
It's crazy. But I mostly used werewolf. I don't want to say I used them as antagonists because I didn't really use them all that much. It was basically like werewolves are here, you steer clear. Like you cannot go up against that. So just don't.
See, at least you have the wits and the smart to know better.
He had a few books.
Yes.
He said he owned a few books, so he knows.
Yeah, I had some of the books, and it was just like, just don't, But I want to say we ran. I can't tell you like what the story of it was, but I know we had a Dark Ages game where we had a werewolf as part of the group who was, I don't even remember like if maybe they got exiled from their group. Anyway, they were hanging with us, but we just used them as like, it was a player who played it. Oh my God. it was so weird. We did it was a Dark Ages game, but we had this pirate thing going on where we had our own a pirate ship, and we would attack other ships by basically the werewolf would get sort of levitated over to the other ship and set loose and just tear everything up.
Boy.
It was like that type of deal.
It's like a fur cannon.
That's exactly what that is. Fire him through the cannon, he'll soak it.
Yeah, so kind of like that. But we never played werewolf proper.
That can change.
Yeah, that can change, absolutely. but I think it's the Will of Darkness in particular. I mean, there's so many different facets in all the different games, and so you've had experience with some of the other in the line, I'm sure.
Yeah, we played Mage. That was the other one I played probably the most of after Vampire was Mage. We've had a couple of mixed games, and again, the story, whatever the story of it was, has been lost to time. But I'm pretty sure we had there was a Wraith in the group, there was a Changeling in the group. With the Wraith in the group, I don't even know how we did that.
That's what I'm scratching my head at over here is how did you get the mechanics to work? Because each game has their own different mechanics.
It's so different, I know.
Right.
I'm scratching my head going, what did you golden rule on that going?
Everything?
Yeah, everything had to be golden rule.
Everything. Yeah, everything.
Everything ran off V5 or vampire rolls.
But yeah, we played Mage probably the most after Vampire. And then, we didn't really play the other games, even though we used them. I always thought Wraith seemed cool, and I liked the idea of it, but it always seemed kind of daunting to play, to get into the rules of it.
Yeah, I get that. My very first group, when I was still a player before, with that first storyteller, we briefly flirted with Wraith, but that was through the lens of the storyteller telling us about Wraith. And at that point, that's a 15-year-old's understanding of the game, so that never went anywhere.
Right. And that's if you understood it.
Right. We did Hunter briefly.
I remember that one.
Which,
or I remember your version of it.
Yeah, which was not for me. I liked the character I played, but the game was not for me. I felt like it was like going bowling and being the pins.
That doesn't sound
Hunter
fun.
Hunt of the Reckoning.
Yeah.
My only real experience with Hunt of the Reckoning, aside from making character sheets for the game, is the video games they did.
Yeah, how did they get away with all the video games?
And I remember playing those games.
I don't know. I guess
it was Nintendo 64.
Vampire got a couple, certainly. But it took us till last year to get a werewolf game?
I guess there was going to be one, right? Would it have been the super late 90s or early 2000s? There was going to be a werewolf video game.
Yeah, Heart of Guy. There was also one they were making for the PlayStation 1, which if you look real hard on YouTube, you can find footage of. I have hunted links to this footage down twice for the Discord, and every time I keep losing it. But the footage is out there, and it was ridiculous.
Wow.
That's not the Heart of Gaia one, though.
No. This was for the PlayStation 1. Okay. And then, a couple years later, they started doing Heart of Gaia for the PC, and that was 90% finished when it went under.
Yeah,
that's rough.
Yeah, for those who don't know, you can find every single cutscene on YouTube.
Yeah, it's a little funny.
For that one, the only one I remember is the Pentex commercial.
Oh, the Pentex commercial was cool.
Yeah.
I still have that somewhere.
I'm sure I have it saved.
Yeah, please find that for me.
Oh, absolutely.
I'm very curious.
It should be on our forums.
That's a good idea.
Look at that.
But Hunter, I guess, was the easiest to turn into a video game because you're just fighting all the time. I guess I don't.
Yeah, but come on.
Yeah,
it was the new kid, and then immediately it got video games.
Yeah. Well, they're doing that's the next game coming out for 5th edition now too. Is Hunter.
But then again, that's the next 5th edition coming out, as far as we know.
As far as we know. Right?
As far as we know, right. Yeah. Because Werewolf was going to come out next, but now maybe it's not.
Yeah, it's a bit, to my understanding, it's a bit further behind in development. So that might be another year or two. Which, hey, please take your time, get it right, please.
I was going to say, as long as they get it right.
I would rather wait for a better product.
It seems interesting to me that Hunter is getting 5th edition when was there ever any other edition of it?
No, there's plain fast and loose with the numbers on that, yeah.
I guess so, yeah.
Just trying to copy everybody else so it sounds as good.
Right, fuck it, it's 5 now.
I was gonna say,
the counting of games is lore.
Everyone's Chris, everything's 5th.
There you go. I think
I mean-
they're just trying to keep it along the same universe.
I get it.
Yeah, it's easier for branding that way. But
Mhm.
Yeah.
yes, this is not 5th edition. This is not 5th
I get
edition.
it. Yes. Even though it's amusing to me, like I get it.
Yeah.
We'll go with the music.
Yeah, it's funny. But I thought that's a weird move for that to be the next one. But I mean, maybe it's the easiest one to get done. I don't know.
That was my thinking.
Probably.
Yeah.
Keep it along the
So-
same universe, keep it along the same lines. I mean, I don't obviously know the
Right.
same writers, but
I don't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah, we
I haven't been
don't
following
know.
it. I have no idea.
Yeah, I don't know.
it's the same universe. So
So yeah, World of Darkness.
there you go.
Right.
It's easy to keep in line.
Well, that's
Easier to keep in line.
Yeah.
That would be the hope.
sure.
Yeah, I will say that's what I liked about World of Darkness is you had all these different games, but they all kind of took place in the same world. I like that sort of.
I'm down with that to an extent too. I think it gets a little tricky
Yeah.
once you start blending those lores together, and that can.
Oh yeah, for sure.
You know, there's webs to untangle there. It's like, it's fine. But
well, and like especially rules too. I mean, and I get why. Like you know, mechanics are different for different games, and I understand it. I thought that was interesting when they did New World of Darkness, which is Chronicles of Darkness now, where they tried to do like some of the mechanics were different, but they worked in a similar way. So it was like kind of the setup. Again, I gotta like tie everything back to a character sheet. From a character sheet perspective, like the setup for a lot of those were very similar, so it was easy to do. Like I had a lot of people ask me to do, hey, can you just do like an all-in-one I can use for anything? And it's like,
no.
I can. It just depends on like what like for Chronicles, it's easy. For for original World of Darkness, that's impossible.
No,
Like,
no,
the
I could
mechanics are
see
so
the
different.
the rage blood paradox bar.
Right. You can do like I've done like a couple of like antagonist type sheets where it's like all the like the basic rules for the storyteller system are all the same. So it's like you can do something that's kind of like an all-in-one for like an antagonist type of deal, but for like a player character sheet it gets harder.
Definitely. And yeah, I think kind of springing off that a bit, with in terms of sheets and all the differences in systems and lore and everything, we now have what we didn't have before is in the storyteller's vault.
Oh,
Right.
Where people can, all sorts of stuff gets published through there. All sorts of different ideas and ideas for characters and stuff.
Yeah.
Like you look at the Savage Age, for example.
Right. I was just gonna say.
For example,
Like they used the storyteller vault in a way that I didn't really think it would get used for, where you had like an official book comes out, and then people that worked on the book were like, hey, here's a kind of a different one.
Right? Like this is the idea that they didn't like, but I like, and if you like
Right.
it, you can come and get it. But I've got to imagine that there's a lot of call for that kind of stuff.
Right.
People coming to you for, hey, can you make a sheet from this storyteller's vault idea or something?
I do. I get that quite a bit. Like sometimes it's the people working on the book will ask me, and then sometimes it's just somebody after the fact, and then I'll get in touch, or I'll try to get in touch with whoever wrote it, and then they'll be like, "Oh my God, that's awesome! Yeah, sure."
Oh, imagine when they've got to be ecstatic hearing that, MrGone's going to do one of my sheets. Oh, man.
So
Right?
yeah, so that's cool. I like that.
gotta
And then
be a
like I
huge
can link
compliment.
back to their book. You know what I mean? Like on my site, I can add a link. With the character sheet. Then here's a link for the book, and
Well, and I got to imagine, I don't know, but I've got to imagine that's it should be a big deal, I think. That's kind of like a MrGone seal of approval.
Nice. Yes.
true.
Like I can't
Yeah.
imagine, like, hey, do a sheet and you look into the game and you're like, this is garbage, I'll do it anyway. I can't, I don't imagine that's true.
There. Now that you say it,
Oh boy.
I have had people probably more so before than now, but it's just, I've had people like, hey, can you make this? And it's like, I'll add it to the list. And if I get time, and then it's like, I'll finally get around to it. And I'm just like, why am I doing this? And then it's like, I got to make myself do it, but then I do it and they love it. And, it's like it might not be the greatest thing, but for whatever reason, they thought it was perfect. So,
See, I still think you should branch out and do storyteller screen overlays.
Oh, I remember you mentioning that before.
right. We did talk about that before.
I think that would be badass because I know, if you look at, for example, I can't speak for the other lines, but, for Werewolf 20, they had these beautiful, beautiful storyteller screens. Nice and sturdy and great art on them, but the information
Was crap.
was the same. And yet, for me, it was largely unhelpful. Because your mileage is going to vary by storyteller.
Yeah, sure.
And it's like, man, I really wish I could have this beautiful screen just with the information I need access to on it. And who better? I say, you branch off, maybe charge for those.
We need to, we might have to work on that. I did see, I want to say on Facebook in one of the vampire groups, somebody put together a new storyteller screen, but I don't know who it is. If I'd have been thinking, I would have pulled it up so I could have told you better about it. But it's in one of the vampire groups on Facebook.
I don't think I'm allowed in those.
I'll try to remember to look that up and I'll send it to you.
Yeah,
AC
that's fair.
Porter from Werewolf.
It's like, this is the funny boy who keeps calling us Draculas, huh?
Yeah, I was gonna
Denied.
They're going to know who Rage Across the Internet is. And like, oh shit, it's Porter. Don't let him in.
But yeah, we need to work on that. We need to see what we can do. Maybe we can.
Just
we can
a
team
thought.
up on that.
Hey.
Yeah. See what we can do.
I think who wouldn't like a customed out story by MrGone? So the quality's going to be there, and then to be able to choose
your overlays, choose what you want in there.
Choose what you want in
awesome. There. Yeah, no, that's because every storyteller. Yeah, like you said, every storyteller's mileage varies depending on what they've golden ruled and all their systems.
Right. It's we do a lot of this firearm stuff. I don't need the firearm shard. I know that back and forward, but.
Right.
Maybe they use a lot of Kylindo and I don't know what that is, or whatever.
Could be anything.
Yeah, because exactly.
We'll have to think on that and see how we can do something that's modular like that, where you can kind of pick.
Be a whole new ballgame.
Have to think on that.
Put MrGone in the stratosphere.
The deep umbra.
There you go.
Yeah, there you go.
Let's keep it World of Darkness.
I was going to say the heavens, but hey.
All right, well, since we're talking World of Darkness in general, let me ask y'all then, aside from Werewolf, what's your favorite thing from the World of Darkness? It can be another game that you like, or just any other kind of aspect from some other game or something. Like, is there anything aside from Werewolf that you like about World of Darkness?
It's hard to answer because
is that a super broad question?
It's very broad.
It's a little bit broad, but it's hard to answer because I don't have interest in playing the other ones. But
Gotcha.
I can say that because they can mix, very lightly brushed in there, and people will. I'm sure people have made fun of us, and hell, we've heard it before that they're only werewolf and they don't know anything about the other stuff. But we've had mages in our games. We've had other Pharaoh in our games. We've had vampires in our other games. And I like how that can still be true without actually playing those games.
Mm-hmm.
And we look at, what was it? Was it a storyteller screen about how it said, what the Garu know about Changeling and what they know about Mage and what they know about Vampire.
Yeah, that's the revised Storyteller's Companion that came with the screen for revised.
Right. So that can still happen without us actually playing those games. It might not be the same information. It might just be some of the information, but it can still happen. And that's what I like about it. But again, I don't have interest in playing the other games. If someone else is playing it and it's around and they don't mind me listening in, then I could do that.
So what you got?
With her new V5 running, I'm starting to gravitate towards Dracula's a little more. I'm actually starting to enjoy reading about it and hearing about it. And Charybdis has been sending me a bunch of stuff.
Well, I know you're super into counting also, so that's a factor.
Mm-hmm. One. wise, I mean, that is, I would gravitate towards Dracula's if I wanted to branch out of werewolf.
Nice.
I'm going to cheat a little here.
You're a storyteller. It's fine. I think you have
Right.
that option.
Well, like I played the couple hundred games, and some people, I don't know how well known it is anymore. We haven't talked about it in a long time, but the story about my encounter with Mage is out there.
That might be a good time to say it, because you've said you would say it on air, and you haven't.
I haven't?
No, you've never said it on air, but people in Discord have heard it.
Okay. Well, I'll answer the question, and then if there's interest, I'll tell the Mage story.
Okay.
But I would say, and it's not World of Darkness, and it's not White Wolf anymore, but it was White Wolf, is Aberrant.
Oh,
that's right.
all right. Put just a quick pin in Aberrant.
All right.
I have to tell you that before that game came out, I don't know how long. I mean, it must have been in the ether or something. But I was talking with a friend, and I was like, they should do, like, using the storyteller system, they should do, like, a superhero game. It would be awesome. And then it was like, I don't know, like, maybe not even a year or so. Like I said, it must have been in the ether or something, but Aberrant came out. And I get that it's not, like, they tried to pretend like it wasn't about superheroes, but it's about superheroes. Yeah. Okay, sorry, I had to sidetrack that.
No,
I love Aberrant. I love Aberrant.
Yeah, that one, I hit, I think it was Christmas or something, around the time where Trinity first came out. And I was given that for Christmas. And
when it was called Aeon.
In fact, my copy, and it's like in my closet, I have the version where the first run where they put the stupid Trinity sticker over the word Aeon.
Right.
And like younger Porter had tried to remove that sticker so it would be...
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I don't know how smart that was in hindsight, but it's...
Probably not.
What happened. Just so I could prove it, like what else would it say under there? Come on.
Yep.
But then, we got into Aberrant. We played Aberrant for a bit, and that was a lot of fun. So I guess it's not World of Darkness. And
it's not World of Darkness.
It was White Wolf, though, so I think I can get away with doing that because it was White Wolf.
Yeah.
Which I believe now Onyx Path owns the whole trifecta there with that and Adventure.
Okay.
And that was something...
I only heard of that one.
That was something cool, I think. And it was sort of I don't want to say a missed opportunity. It just didn't take off the way I felt it should have, because you had Trinity, which was like your sci-fi in the future. Mm-hmm. You had Aberrant, which was modern day, and then you had Adventure, which was like in the 20s.
Right.
And it was the same continuity. So there were certain characters, like meta characters, that were alive through the whole time. You could do like your Indiana Jones type stories in Adventure. You could do your superhero stuff, in Aberrant. And like it was a pretty cool game. And I thought that world, those three different concepts set in the same world, I thought it was brilliant. It's just, I don't know what happened. It was around the time, again, of all those lawsuits and the end of the World of Darkness into the new World of Darkness.
Yeah.
It was just, I think just the timing was wrong.
Well, it's unfortunate.
Well, and now, they've relaunched it all now. There's like a new version of Trinity and Aberrant. I don't think have they got to Adventure yet?
I'm not sure, but I believe Onyx Path owns those now.
Yes,
I believe
they own
just
those
bought
right
them.
now.
Yeah, those are just theirs now.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so good luck.
Yeah, it's under that new system, the Story Path system. I think that's what they're calling it.
You'd know better than I would.
Yeah.
So.
But either way, it's good luck to Onyx Path on those, because I thought those were really interesting, and there's a lot of potential there.
Seems like they're doing really good with it, because it's the same system that when they relaunched Scion.
Okay, yeah.
Huh.
Because they own that too.
So I again, there are people who know this story, and I'm sure Chris doesn't know this story.
No, I don't know that story.
But I think it's time for Porter to tell his first encounter with Mage.
Okay. All right. So I was, let's say, he was still a teenager.
So 14. How about 14?
Well, we'll say 15, 16.
Okay.
And there was one of the, back then there were game stores.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's few and far between now, but there were hobby stores and game stores, places you could go to buy this shit. because you had to. What's the internet?
Right.
Right.
You know, and I was in good with there was this place called Writer's Hobby, and I was in good with the people who
That's
ran
where it was. I remember that one.
Yeah, there were people who the people who handled the games. I was in good with them. They do special orders for me and stuff like that.
Oh, cool.
And I was with a friend, and we had gone to Writers just to see what's up. And then he was the friend. He was also into like model cars and shit, so he's over there looking at that. And I head straight for the game, see if anything new's come in. Because again, we don't live in a world at this point where the internet is the internet today, so you don't have that up to date. What's coming out by this date? You go and check, see what happens.
Yep.
And none of the normal guys were there. And so there's this new guy, this kid, and he had to be 17, 18. Just another teenager, maybe somebody's kid, I don't know what, who's working there. And I'm looking, and he walks up, can I help you with anything? I says, no, I'm just looking, I'm looking to see if anything new came in for Werewolf. He's like, oh, well, did you try Mage? I'm like, well, I don't really know anything about Mage. And I'm not a big fan of Magic personally, but I didn't tell him that. I'm the Barbarian guy, not the Mage. And he's like, oh, no, Mage is awesome. It's great. Let me tell you all about it. I'm like, oh, boy.
Oh, boy.
So he says, Mage is amazing because you can do anything you want. You have the power to do anything you want, except there's this force called Paradox that will kill you if people see it because magic's not real and they know that. So, And he goes, well, no. And then, I'm taking a couple steps back because I didn't ask for this conversation.
Right.
This is the let me tell you about my character out of nowhere shit.
Yep.
So I'm taking a couple steps.
Taking steps back and hoping he takes a clue and fucks off.
Except he takes a few steps forward.
Oh.
And he goes, so for example, right, let's say someone's shooting at you with a gun. Now, you could use magic to just melt those bullets or turn them into butterflies or something. But, people would see that and magic doesn't exist and Paradox would kill you. So you could instead use your magic to make them, bounce off your belt buckle. Or if you're in a car chase, and this is actual audio. I'm not...
Right.
I still remember this shit.
Why it's funny.
Or if you're in a car chase, you could call down lightning to stop the car, but Paradox would get you and people would see that. So instead you could blow out the tires. And so I'm thinking, so as a mage, you can do anything that anyone else can do with a gun and some body armor.
Right.
Awesome. As he's telling this, and again, and I start walking away. I get to the point he's not taking the hint, and I just turn, and he's still going.
Oh, man.
He follows me through the store. And again, I didn't drive. My friend drove. And he's in some other aisle, so I'm looking for him so we can escape. It was 10 minutes. I'm just getting chased by this man who's telling me the Paradox is going to kill me if I do anything other than what any normal person can do, and that's why I should play Mage. So I can have the power to do nothing.
It was not a very good introduction.
Right, so I've never played Mage or had any interest. He scared me off of it for life.
So now anyone tries and tells you about Mage, I am completely uninterested.
I will immediately find my gif of Chevy Chase dressed up like the Cookie Wizard. That is my response to Mage.
Yep. Anytime someone mentions magic in Discord, that's immediately what happens.
Yep.
Chevy Chase as the Cookie Wizard.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, sorry you had such a bad introduction to it.
I mean, it's okay. I don't feel like I've missed out. I doubled down on Werewolf. I'm very happy, but...
I mean, it's you can get the guy was trying, but it's just I don't know, dude. Really?
Right. And it actually affected how I did things in the future because, I looked at that guy and I went, I don't ever want to be that man.
Right.
That's just going to unsolicited bog you with stuff and bore you to death and scare you away. And now I'm on a podcast where that's what I do.
It's funny how the tides have turned.
Right?
A little bit.
But people come to us to hear, let me tell you about my character. We don't...
Yeah, we don't go to them. They come to us.
Yeah, we don't bomb other people's shows and are like, hey, shut up about sports. Here's Werewolf.
That's a cool idea. No, it's not. It's a bad idea.
That'd be really funny, though.
It would be funny.
listening to your True Crime podcast, all of a sudden Daniel Tyson shows up and goes, yeah, and my Get a Fenris only has one arm because this happened, and let me tell you this story for 20 minutes. Fuck the Delphi murders.
But it's crime and how he lost his arm.
It was a crime.
It was a crime. So it fits.
In an imaginary world.
I just love that image.
The world of darkness is
hilarious.
real, sir.
It is?
Boy.
Yes.
Okay, well. I mean, as real as it can get, right?
It's the world around you.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I guess we're not imagining the books, so it's real that insofar as that. I mean,
True.
let's not create a situation where someone's going to be in the paper tomorrow because Tom said this is all real. And I think that's really the thing to focus on.
Oh, I should be dead.
Right.
The veil's been lifted.
Oh, you jerk.
You know, I mean, it's, you know, at the end of the day, really, this is such a great hobby, and I know it's helped. So I know it's helped a lot of people. What would you say to get someone, you think, into to give it a shot these days?
Want to hear about this great podcast?
Ooh,
That's where
True.
I'd
Yeah,
start.
you could. Hey.
That's
yeah.
where I'd start.
That's
Actually, that
I've done
happened
it.
last night, so.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah.
You gonna tell a quick story or what?
He was just, because he was like, why do you have to be, you know, why do you have to go to bed and get up so early tomorrow? I'm like, I have a podcast that I'm on. And it just started from there, and I started going off about the podcast.
nice.
No, I've done similar. We'll call him an acquaintance. It was a friend of a friend of a friend kind of thing, and he saw my shirt because, of course, I'm going to wear my shirt out.
Danny wears a lot of RAI merch.
Yeah, and he goes, "That's a really cool. I like your shirt. It's a really cool picture." I was like, "Oh yeah, you have you heard of it before?" He goes, "Oh no." I was like, "Oh, it's just my podcast." So he goes, "Oh, you have a podcast?"
His podcast.
Yeah, his podcast.
Yeah, okay, well-
did you design the logo too?
No, I did not. You did. We'll throw that out there. But so I was telling him, and I was like, "Yeah, man, it's werewolf. It's Werewolf the Apocalypse. It's part of the World of Darkness. There's other games like Vampire and Mage." He goes, "Oh, I've played Mage before." I'm like, "Oh, well, see, look, there's an easy in." So I gave him a quick rundown.
I was gonna say, then you were like, "Let me tell you about my character," and then
Let me tell you about
you
Jaeger.
chased him. Yeah, you chased him around the building.
I didn't have that much time. It was just a quick thing, and he's played Mage. It was, I guess, he only played a couple times, but so I explained to him. It was, hey, there are other parts of the World of Darkness, and they all kind of mix. Kind of like we were talking about earlier. So,
Yeah.
hey, the werewolf part of it, that's what we do, and that's the game I play personally, and now we have a podcast about it, which is really cool. So, if you're interested in doing something else other than Mage, check me out.
Oh, there you go. Now, Chris, you don't have a werewolf podcast,
I do not have a werewolf podcast.
so
no.
so you don't have that segue.
No, I don't.
So-
I don't know what I would. In this scenario, if somebody's asking me about how to get into gaming, is that what we're?
Or I would say how you would go about maybe bringing someone into the fold.
Yeah, in gaming in
okay.
general, because
Yeah,
you have a better
not
understanding.
necessarily werewolf. Yeah, just what
Just gaming in
Just,
general.
yeah, it's role playing.
I guess I would just start with if we were talking about things they liked, like depending on what they were into, there's a role-playing game for it.
Oh, that's absolutely true.
Yeah, I have learned that
So-
recently, that there's role playing for almost anything.
Everything. And then it's and then you can segue. Well, it's well, hey, you might like this game, and if you played it and liked it, then then you might like this one too, and then you can just kind of segue off of that into other things, and then they might play things that they didn't even know they would be into.
Absolutely true.
No, that's a good point.
I love
Yeah.
werewolves, but I didn't think I'd ever be interested in tabletop role playing.
Right?
So,
Right. I didn't even know what it was until I got into it. And then when I started, all I ever really played was World of Darkness. I mean, eventually we did some different stuff, we dabbled in. For a little while, we ran a Star Wars game with the old Westing Games system. I mean, I'm a big Star Wars guy, so I love Star Wars. So it's that wasn't hard to get into. But we played, we briefly ran a game of Cyberpunk and Shadowrun, because those are kind of if you played World of Darkness, okay, maybe you could segue into those. the people that ran those games for me back then were not the Cyberpunk, the Cyberpunk one was not good. The Shadowrun was okay. It was a friend of mine who ran it, and it was better. The Cyberpunk game we ran, or I didn't run it, another guy did. It was not good, and I don't think it's because the game is not good. I'm sure the game is fine, but so I played a few games like that I'd never considered playing, and then of course like I was never. Once I got into gaming and knew about, oh my God, there's all these other games and then Dungeons and Dragons, I was never into it. It seemed too complicated, like system wise. Like there's a lot of math involved, and it's like I don't want to think about math.
I'm with you on that one.
But then so when my son was interested in it and we started doing Dungeon Slayers, I ended up really liking that. Like the system, because the system was like super easy, and then it was like there were the people who wrote it. They did like these little like 1-page dungeons, so you could use those to springboard off of. So I ended up kind of getting into that a little bit, and I thought that was cool. And that just all springboarded from like I got into gaming and then switched over to that. So yeah, I would start with if somebody was kind of thinking about getting into it, just starting with something they like. And seeing what they think of it, and then segueing into something different.
Probably the best way to do so.
I think it's pretty fair. I think I like to, me. I'm the storyteller.
Yeah.
So I like to, I focus on bringing that kind of experience. Kind of like I did with you guys.
Mm-hmm.
We were talking about the game, but then I ran that little demo scenario for, 5-10 minutes. Just, like a nothing throwaway, doesn't matter. And not combat, but just kind of atmosphere and character interaction to try to pull you guys into the game.
Yeah,
you remember that with the two spirals in the woods?
Mm-hmm. Which we didn't know what spirals were at the time, but yeah.
Right, but it was just, like a 10-minute dialogue.
Mm-hmm.
Just to give you a little taste. First one's free.
Yeah. Well, and I've pitched like role-playing, like just the general idea of it to a few people as, like if because I've had some people ask me, like it's a game, but like, what are you doing? And like, are you trying to win? And it's like, no, it's not really that kind of game. It's like, just think of it like a novel that all of you are writing. Your part is just writing what this particular character would do in this situation that gets set up.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And it's like, the goal of it is like everybody involved in the game is you're all helping tell the story.
Solid point.
Yeah, that's basically what it is. But I believe that's about our time. Chris, It's been great having you back. It's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's been really fun.
Maybe next time we can hear about, we'll luck out and maybe can hear about your experiences playing werewolf.
That
maybe.
Awesome.
Maybe. That'd be pretty fantastic.
Or hear about these new storyteller boards he's going to make.
Or that too.
Yeah, we'll see if we can touch base on that. That'll be cool. See what we can do.
Very cool.
All right, and remember, everybody, you can get your character sheets from the source himself, not some creep on Amazon.
Yeah, fuck that
Right.
guy.
At Mr. Gone's website, which is once more, Chris.
MrGone.rocksolidshells.com.
And while you're there, maybe peep the Patreon because
Yep.
he's done a lot of great work for the community over the years.
There's a Patreon. I've got stuff up on the Storyteller Vault. If you just look at Mr. Gone, I've got a lot of stuff there you can get to.
See, I didn't know that. That's fan. There you
Even
go.
better, yeah.
Yep, even better.
Oh, sorry I didn't mention it. But yeah, I've
chill,
got a lot
man.
of
Come
character
on.
sheet, like packs on the Storyteller Vault just for different games and different editions. I even did like recently I put up a pack of like a starter pack for like World of Darkness and Chronicles. So it's got like base sheets for all of the games for each of the different systems.
Oh, that's cool.
That's fantastic. So yeah, be sure to check that out too. And when you're done checking out Mr. Gone stuff, you can swing by our website.
We have a link to his website too.
Yes, we do, right there on the front page. It's been up there this whole time too.
Yeah. Thanks.
It's one of our first
pleasure,
links.
right? And that's rageacrosstheinternet.com.
.com.
.com.
And while you're there, you can also check out our Ko-Fi. Maybe help us out too. But that's we can talk about that in the future.
Yeah, we'll talk about it later. We've
Yeah,
They
done
hear it
enough
now.
shilling, and
exactly.
today was more for shilling for
It's Mr. Gone Day.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, thanks. I appreciate it.
So again, we thank you again for joining us. It's been a great time.
Yeah, it was really fun.
And,
Thanks again for coming, Chris. It was
yeah.
it's a really big deal you were able to make it.
Yeah.
So thank you.
Well, thank you for having me. I had a lot of fun today.
What did you just say? You're trying to high road me?
Well,
He's
you
high
said-
roading the hell out of it.
Why? This guy's high roading me over
I'm
here.
not trying to
It's
high
his
road.
season.
You
I
got
know.
to thank him. I wanted to thank him too.
I'm going to thank him better. He's flipping me off right now.
No. Liar. No, he's not.
But on behalf of MrGone and the guy, Tommy, Danny, and myself, we want to thank you for listening. Thank you for your support. Say, take care of yourselves, take care of each other, keep your claws sharp, your head in a swivel. We'll see you later.